Not everyone's driving motivation is money. Yep, you heard that right. Mark Cuban says that money isn't his driving motivation. And well, we cannot relate. In this video, we'll talk about what Mark Cuban's driving motivation is. And also, Cuban has some customer service advice for Elon Musk. So stay tuned and watch this video to the very end to learn about it all. To start with, what's Cuban's driving motivation? So you might have thought that becoming a billionaire has a lot to do with caring about money. But according to Mark Cuban, we're all very wrong. Apparently, the billionaire who made all these tech companies in the 1990s that turned him into the wealthy man that he is today, stated that his personal riches were never a priority. He said that he never thought in terms of money. Instead, his driving motivation is something else entirely. The billionaire said that he always thought in terms of time. Yep, time. And it isn't just Cuban who swears by this rule of his. According to a 2018 Harvard Business School study, prioritizing your time more than your money has almost always resulted in a healthier lifestyle and happiness. And Mark is a living example of this theory, if you want to call it that. But does it really work for normal people like us? Or is it specific to rich people only? Guess we gotta try to find out. Moving on, Mark thought he'd never have to work again. The American entrepreneur said in an interview that when he sold his first company, Micro Solutions, to CompuServe for $6 million, he thought he would never have to work again. We don't blame you, Mark. We honestly would have thought the same. He said that his business deal brought him freedom, and he didn't have to worry about further employment. He said that he could live at his own pace now, and he spent his money traveling with his friend and partying like a rock star. Following up, the Dallas Mavericks owner thought the stock market was overpriced. Then, 5 years later, one of his college friends convinced him to start an online streaming service so they could listen to the Indiana University basketball games from where they lived. This streaming service later became Broadcast.com and was sold to Yahoo in 1999 for $5.7 billion. At that time, Yahoo stock was very valuable, and if Cuban had wanted it, he should have held on to it and cashed out more money later. But he told the reporters that he was happy with the money he earned with the deal, and thought that the stock market was overpriced. It's also safe to assume that he had psychic abilities because the Mavs gaming owner sold most of his Yahoo stock just a few months before the dot-com bubble burst, and the stock prices took a plunge. He said that this incident taught him the most valuable lesson of his life, that when you chase dollars, it never works out well. So after that, Cuban went about spending his money on things that made him happy, like buying a whole basketball team in 2000, and a private jet, which is not for his luxuries, it's to save time, of course. Well, we guess our question about whether prioritizing time was a rich people thing has indeed been answered. Moving on to the next segment, not to mention, the 64-year-old had some advice for Elon Musk. To be honest, there's a very low ratio of people who are happy that Musk has taken over the Bluebird app. And if firing all these employees wasn't enough, Elon released a new set of policies about verification and impersonation, and Mark Cuban has some pieces of advice on how to fix the app. For starters, if you aren't a Twitter user, Musk introduced a new $8 a month subscription that allowed anyone to get a blue check mark and become verified. And according to Cuban, this new policy killed the most valuable part of Twitter, the ability to quickly and easily find information from sources he has trusted. So to avoid any false news, Cuban went around muting accounts with a purchased checkmark, and he tweeted at Musk about it, hoping that it would help him. He suggested that Musk could give the blue check to the most accurate users for free, so it was easy to confirm accuracy. Moving on, the verified tab is impossible to sift. The American billionaire admitted that Twitter's previous method of giving out the blue checks wasn't perfect either, but it was better than giving it to anyone and everyone who was willing to pay for it. He said it was somewhat authentic because someone took the time to decide whether the user had more to contribute. He didn't only have bad things to say, he thanked the Tesla owner for the decline in the crypto bots replying to his tweets, but then went back to bash him over the verified tab being full of non-authentic resources. And it's almost impossible to sift through. For all the save your time talk, Cuban's sure spending a lot of his time talking about Twitter and its new policy, but this might be another way to save his time, you know? Anyway, he said that he used to go through 100 tweets in his verified mention, and now the number has doubled. The number of hate comments and trolling was fairly less from verified accounts initially. Now that's also increased since, and Cuban has no other way to filter them other than constant muting. All this talk is honestly making us question whether he actually prioritizes his time as much as he says. Next up, what were people's reactions? Do you really think that people had nothing to say after the Broadcast.com owner had a whole breakdown over blue check marks? Many people pushed back on him, and one of the users was quick to mention that the old Twitter policies were discriminatory because Cuban's experience on Twitter as a a legacy blue check holder was probably very different from the normal, average person. According to the Twitter user, the SpaceX owner was just trying to make that experience the same for everyone. Mark responded to that comment by saying that he has burner accounts with 0 followers, and that he uses it actively so he can have the same experience. He purchased the blue check for one of those accounts, and it still has 0 followers. But now, that account can enjoy ripping everyone and showing up in the verified tab. We're back again with our question, isn't that a waste of time? Following up, a temporary gray check mark. Musk introduced a gray check mark feature temporarily, which wasn't available for purchase and gave a secondary identification to certain verified accounts, but removed it just a few hours after the rollout. Elon said that he would continue to use the blue check as the great equalizer, so it's safe to assume that it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Coming up, this isn't the first time Cuban has dissed the Tesla founder. Following a $40 million lawsuit in April, Musk and Tesla had to pay out to the organization after Musk famously tweeted that he had funding secured to take Tesla private. Cuban said that Musk's effort to buy Twitter was his snarky way of the SEC. Cuban hinted in a tweet earlier this month that he was looking forward to Musk's era as the platform's leader and that Musk will flex to show everyone who's in control. Following up, the Tesla owner turned down the suggestion. You wouldn't have expected anything different from Musk, because we didn't either. He didn't take a second to turn down the suggestions that came his way. After Cuban went on with his sob story, explaining how it takes him a decade to filter through the tweets, Musk summed it up in just 3 words: $8 for all. And well, the Shark Tank billionaire took the hint and thought it was best to leave the business to whom it belongs. So he ended his rant by saying that it was his business and his decision.
Universities, 4-year universities are doing it, and it's a real problem. And so I told IU that I will not do anything that involves buildings.
Finally, it isn't just Mark Cuban who slammed the new policy. People are split on the news, but most of them don't support the idea of purchasable blue checks. One Twitter user said that every authentic and famous person on the app would be against this decision, while all the other disrespectful people who specifically find fun in spreading false news will love it. A female comedian, Francesca Ramsey, said that she got her account verified to avoid harassment and trolls, but it looks like there's no getting away from it now. The co-developer for Rogue One, a Star Wars story, Gary Whitta, said Musk was a dollar store Ozymandias, and she called the idea of making verified users pay for the checkmark a crackpot idea. So we're assuming that most people aren't happy with this idea that Musk is using as the ultimate equalizer. We also think that there should be a way to filter the authentic news from the unauthentic, but that really depends on what Musk decides to do. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think saving your time is the key reason to becoming a billionaire? Or is the, money? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.
The idea, concept, product, service, whatever, I'm tied with everybody else and having the opportunity to learn it, so I'll just put in the time to learn it.